Hey teachers, what if I told you there was one key skill that your students needed to review for their AP history exams that would almost certainly mean the difference between not passing and passing, or between getting a 3 and a 4 or a 4 and a 5? In the profound crunch to make sure that they remember all the content and know how to write theses and support arguments, we can forget to emphasize this one skill I'm talking about. And if you hang around the AP teacher Facebook groups, you'll hear readers and graders from the national exam say it over and over again. If students could just do this, it would make all the difference. So I want to tell you what that skill is and a couple simple ways to get your students practicing it in these final weeks before the exam. The skill is chronological reasoning. If you're new to teaching this course, it essentially means that students should be able to understand how one thing leads to another, or how X event causes Y event, etc. They need to reason chronologically. Now, I'll talk about knowing specific dates in a moment, but let me explain why chronological reasoning is so important. Almost every question on this exam is going to ask them to assess causes or effects or changes or continuity, etc. And all those questions will be impossible to answer without a firm grasp of the proper order of events. For example, if there's a series of questions about the Atlantic revolutions, it's not enough that they know the basic definitions of each one. If they don't know the chain of causation here, the questions are going to stump them. Now, am I saying that your students need to memorize every date attached to every event in the curriculum? No, that also would be a waste of time. But there are a few dates that they should know. First, if there are specific dates mentioned in the CED, then obviously they've got to know those. And for better or worse, Euro teachers have proportionally way more than US or World. But at the very minimum, they should absolutely know the dates of the time periods that frame the course and what those dates signify. Those sets of dates often show up in the writing prompts, and if they already recognize them and they know what falls within them, then they won't have to waste time trying to interpret them. But within those large periods of time, it's exceedingly helpful if they know the basic order of events. I don't care if they know the exact year each of the Atlantic revolutions started, but they definitely need to know that it goes American, French, Haitian. Like, they have to know that the Mongols came before the first wave of European imperialism, or that Spain colonized the Americas before England and France. All of that matters. So let me give you two simple ways to help your students do this that don't require a complete overhaul of your already packed review schedule. By the way, if this is helping you, I've got 2 teacher training sessions coming up this summer in which we'll teach you all kinds of strategies like these in detail. This year is just for APUSH and AP World teachers, and that link is in the description. Anyway, the first method to help them learn chronological reasoning is to have them create timelines by theme. Not just timelines, timelines by theme, and that distinction is super important. If they just throw every event on the same timeline, I mean, it wouldn't hurt them, it might even help, but thematic timelines will supercharge their efforts. As you most likely know, the CED is arranged according to a handful of themes, and those themes are the basis of all the writing the students will have to do on the exam. So think for a second about the power of this method. They get an LEQ prompt about the economic effects of X or the political causes of Y. If they have studied with thematic timelines, then they can pull up not just the content of each of those themes, but the order of those events within those themes. Let me just give you one example. In all the years I was a reader at that national exam, students missed the point for contextualization in their DBQ and LEQ for, many reasons, but one reason far outstripped them all. Their contextualization was not related to the theme of the prompt. You see, for contextualization, it's not enough just to name events that came before the time period of the prompt. Like, if the prompt is about how Spanish imperialism affected society in the Americas, then a contextualization paragraph about astrolabes and shipbuilding technology is not going to earn the point. It's a prompt about social realities, so it needs to talk about social realities in the Americas before the arrival of the Spanish. And if they study their information by theme and chronology, then they will be able to do that. Okay, now the second method is to muster the old standby 6 degrees of separation. You give the students 2 events separated by a big chunk of time and then ask them to connect those events via causation. And again, do this by theme. This will not only get them reviewing the meaning of the content, but the order in which they need to remember it. But there are a lot more skills your students need to do well in their exams, so click this playlist to learn more strategies for helping them. Don't forget to click the link below to check out the offerings for my summer teacher training. It's designed for teachers in their first 5 years of teaching, but everyone is welcome. I hope to see you there. Heimler out.